The clap game, still one of the creepiest things I've seen in a horror movie to date. And the more creepy part to this is that this movie is based on a true story. So does The Conjuring still hold up 10 years later? Let's talk about it. So The Conjuring was released in 2013 from the director James Wan. It was the kickoff to the Conjuring universe, which started this whole thing. It follows Ed and Lorraine Warren, real paranormal investigators, going into the case of the Perron family. Perrin? Let me see. The Perrin family. Had to double check that there. They're helping the Perrin family try to survive something very sinister going on in their house. And of course, the opening scene for The Conjuring is where we get the glimpse of Annabelle, the doll, which I shall be reviewing in October during the spooky season. So the stuff that worked with this movie, the mystery, I love the build up to this. Starting from the beginning, how you see the family, they move into the house, you get the background, this happened in 1971. And then it slowly starts showing how weird the house is. At first, the dog refuses to come in. The clock stopped working every night at 3:08. The mom's getting random bruises. There's random noises going around in the house. Just the random mystery of it, how it slowly builds up, is so mysterious. And it is sinister. And it actually does make you feel very, very uneased. I know I felt uneased for like the first half of the movie. The Warrens, Ed and Lorraine Warren, played by Patrick and played by Vera. How they play these characters, can't really call these characters because they're playing actual people because this is based on a true story, and we'll get to that in a little bit. How they played Ed and Lorraine Warren was very heartwarming, very comfortable. Like, it really did bring light to this dark movie. And with the family too, like, you get to know them, you get to love them, you get to see how like interesting they are together. You get to see how heartwarming and loving they are. It's a married couple with 5 daughters, all in this house. Very big house. Very reasonably priced in 1971. You learn about them and the family, you really get to know them, you start to care about them, which makes this more scary because you start to care about this family, you get to see the stuff that they're actually going through. The problems, the scares and everything, all of that, it starts to get personal. And the beginning of the movie with the Annabelle appearance, it's very eerie, it's very dark, it's very uncomfortable, which I see why they made a spin-off, and 2 other projects after that. The standout scenes in here is every scene that you see in the basement. Every time they go down there, it really does feel like there's something in there with them, because there is. So every time you see the basement, it feels very uncomfortable, very dark, very creepy, and it makes you feel like you're actually in the room with them, just feeling the cold, unsettling feeling of just terrible things happening down there. And the clap game, terrifying, simple, but yet iconic. And the way that The Conjuring starts off with Annabelle to slowly build up this Conjuring universe, they really set the stones down for a big expansion. And when you do see Annabelle, you do get curious about seeing her in later on installments, because that little story at the beginning was honestly very entertaining and yet very uncomfortable. And I had to come back to emphasize on how they're expanding this Conjuring universe, because there's a scene in this movie which does foreshadow events that's going to occur in the second movie. I can give you a hint. It's the video of the exorcism that goes on with Ed and Lorraine Warren, which causes Lorraine to actually step down and isolate herself more. That's going to be a special tool for a second movie. But that really does show you how many Easter eggs and foreshadowing and how much building they had upon this universe, especially with the first movie. But this is where it gets wild. The movie is actually based on a true story. The Perron family actually did move there in the 1970s, and they did encounter a very terrifying house that was inhabited by the spirit of a witch. When you look up cases about it, you see how scary and uneasy it is, especially when you hear that they were told that every night to not turn off the lights. And in my opinion, if someone was telling me that when I was moving into a house, I honestly wouldn't move there, but I understood the situation that they're in. But it was still just crazy to know what they went through for the time that they were in that house. Now, how much of this is real versus Hollywood's overfabrication of more intense scenes and more screams and stuff just to progress the story? Comment below. Debate this in the comments and tell me what you guys think about that. But honestly, any horror movie that you see based on a true story is always going to be 10 times more scary than other horror movies that aren't. But the stuff that didn't work in this movie for me, this tends to happen so much in movies. The build-up and the mystery always ends up being better than the conclusion. Hear me out. Once we got to the exorcism part of it, it seemed like it fell a bit flat in my opinion. Because the build-up, the suspense, the random noises, the foot pulls, the clap, all that made me uncomfortable. That made me unease. But then when we got to the exorcist part, it seemed a bit raunchy. I don't know. I feel like it could have went a bit harder and gotten a bit darker with that scene. You know, sprinkle a little Hollywood exaggeration on it, you know? More of this is that the scares and the build-up hit harder than the ending, than the final result. And some of the haunted house beats in this kind of felt a bit familiar. House with a bunch of kids, haunted, gave off Haunting of Hill House vibes. To be honest, that's not a bad thing because the Haunting of Hill House is incredible in my opinion. And what did land, it depends on how you feel about this, is the fate that they put in this movie. The idea that God brought the Warrens together specifically for this case, specifically to help this family, that really put the heart into it, and I actually enjoyed that aspect of it. It was used in the ending and could have been expanded more for a better ending, but I enjoyed what was there. And to get to the final verdict of this movie, for me, The Conjuring, the starting of the Conjuring universe, is a solid with snacks. The scares and mystery is fantastic, but then once you get to the exorcism part, it kind of falls a bit low. Not flat, because it was still a good part of the movie. But still, it was an iconic, modern horror film. And with Annabelle lurking in the shadows, it already kicked off the universe very well. So what did you guys think? Did the build-up, especially the clap game, was it scarier than the exorcism? And if you guys haven't seen Conjuring 1, please go check it out. And the ones that have seen The Conjuring, are you guys ready for me to dive into the Conjuring universe? Because next up on this video is going to be The Conjuring 2. So if you like my vibe, comment below, like and subscribe. And I'm James Hancock, signing off.